I thought of a couple great analogies for investing in the stock market the other day. This video is for anyone who's never invested in the stock market or has largely stayed away from the stock market out of fear of the unknown, or if you just began your investing journey in the stock market, but again, you haven't been a part of the market for long enough to know what's going to happen. So despite, history and what other people have told you, until you experience it for yourself, you can't actually have that conviction and belief that, okay, I am doing the right thing here. My money is going to grow over a long period of time. I am going to build wealth. I am going to beat inflation. You don't know all that, right, until you actually experience it. So the analogy that I thought, which could help a lot of people, is, so do you know how to swim? So if you don't know how to swim, and maybe the reason is because if you don't know how to swim, and when I say swim, I mean, I'm not saying you're a lifeguard or anything like that, but you just know basic fundamentals about swimming, meaning you're comfortable being in the water. Like if you go to the beach, go anywhere, you want to go to the beach, you want to be in the pool, and people could be watching this, you might be like, well, of course, I'm sure there's people that have phobias being in the water for whatever reason that is. And if you have fear of actually being in the water, it's very similar to the fear of the stock market because you have fear of the unknown, or it's associated with trauma from the past. You know what I mean? Say you drowned when you were younger or something, or like you almost drowned, you probably want to avoid that forever. And I feel like you got to face your fears in life. The stock market, I feel like, is a fear for a lot of people too, because like money is this thing and that's so important, especially if you have a scarcity mindset. Like you don't want to lose your money. I get it. That comes from how you're raised and your upbringing and your relationship with money overall. Having said that, so if you do know how to swim and you're a great swimmer, which is a lot of people, I'm sure, or even just you're just comfortable being in the water. Like I'm not a great swimmer. If I'm stranded in the middle of the ocean for like probably more than a couple minutes, I'm done. I'm drowning. But I'm still comfortable being in the water. I can swim a little bit, but I can't save a life. So if you're comfortable in the water, you can swim, you're a lifeguard, you can save a life, whatever. How did you get there? Like, were you born a fish? You weren't, right? You were born a human being. You didn't know how to swim when you were born. When you were younger, you took swimming lessons and your parents sent you to swimming lessons because swimming was important, maybe for exercise, so many benefits, right? Maybe you were forced into swimming. With investing, no one's forcing you into investing, right? You're literally on your own. No one's going to pull money out of your bank account and put it into the stock market and you have no control. You know what I mean? Like you're gripping tight to your money. It's an interesting analogy just comparing the two, because if we were to think about the stock market and investing as swimming in water, it's like majority of the population avoids the water because they think that you touch the water and, your life is over. Why not dip your toe in the water? What's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to feel cold. Just because you get in the water does not mean that you're automatically going to drown. People have drowned before, sure. But there are also many people that know how to swim and enjoy the water and like being in the water. So what I'm trying to say is essentially give it a chance. Being able to swim can save your life, potentially, if you're in the water. Obviously, if you can't swim, you'll probably avoid the water or try not to go too far into the deep end. Learning to invest and build your wealth in the stock market, understanding responsibly how to build your wealth in the stock market and invest and grow your money and beat inflation and all that good stuff, that can also save your life. That can also be the difference between you struggling in retirement, you struggling in your later years, you being in a lot of debt because you bought more house than you can afford. Instead of building wealth and growing your money and putting your money to work and having your money work while you're sleeping in the stock market, right? Because of that fear that you're going to get in the water and you're going to drown instantly on contact. This lack of knowledge. And we all fear the unknown, right? Like you fear what you don't know, basically, right? Some people, money is just such a hard subject for a lot of people that even if you explain it to them, like they're never going to get in the water. You know what I mean? They're going to be afraid of the water for their whole life. That's the stock market too, right? Like the stock market is that fear for a lot of people. And I've come across people like this. And that's why I'm making this video, because singing the song from a different place might be able to reach someone, be able to kind of hit better, I guess. Just like swimming or riding a bike, once you learn how to invest responsibly and just buying an index fund, just how to buy an index fund or an indexed ETF. That's something that is very basic and fundamental that you can now teach to your neighbor, your kids, your parents, whoever, right? Forever. And that's a valuable thing to be able to share with people. it's very, very powerful because money is not going anywhere, I don't think. Unless money is going to disappear, then I would say you should probably learn to invest. We're on this planet for only a finite amount of time. You really got to understand that at a certain point in time, the difference between not investing and investing is huge, right? Over time, that disparity becomes larger and larger. My whole thing is like, I'm trying to find creative ways to kind of explain this to people because I understand it's for some people this is what it's considered a boring topic. They'd rather watch some sort of funny video or whatever entertains them, and they don't want to think about something that's actually considered being responsible, financially responsible as a grown adult until it's too late, right? When it becomes too late and then people start thinking about investing at that point and they're finally on board. Yeah, you can say that, okay, yeah, you can actually catch up and do everything by, investing more and more and more money, because investing $100 a month at age 45, at 50, whatever, is not the same thing as investing that in your 20s and 30s or even your teens. You have to put thousands, and guess what? The fact of the matter is the person that has held off on doing this does not have thousands of dollars a month. There's a reason they held off on doing this, right? The person who is willing to take on that risk and understands enough and is willing to learn for themselves and equip themselves with this knowledge, they're not in that position anyways. That person started investing a long time ago, or someone's managing their money. They build wealth that way. The thing is, everybody wants to build wealth with a house because they can live in it. It's so easy for anybody to understand a house because there's utility, you live in it. It's your shelter. It's your largest expense that you have to pay anyways. You have to pay for shelter and where you live no matter what. So why not control that expense? I mean, I feel like people don't actually think about it like that, but that's what it is. Here's another analogy, kind of different line of thinking, but if you garden or you've ever had a plant or you've ever planted a tree, you plant a seed, right? And it doesn't grow, you're going to be checking it probably every day, whatever. Let's say your first experience planting something, right? You're checking it every day, like, oh, it's not growing. Suddenly, all you do is you let it get some sunlight, water it once a week. Let's say it's a plant. Rinse and repeat that cycle over and over again for weeks, months, years. And eventually you start to see the fruits of your labor. No pun intended, right? You're actually going to see fruits. That is literally investing, right? The fear that people have is, well, I put my money in and then I lose it and nothing's happening. Same thing as planting a tree or planting something. Like, you're not going to see any material, like you might see ups and downs like every single day, but you're not going to see the material wealth building for years. It's about believing that that plant is going to grow because this is how the world works. This is how nature works. You give it what it needs, which is, in your case, it will be consistently investing on a monthly basis or a weekly basis or a daily basis, whatever it is, however much amount it is, but just make it consistent. The consistency is the same thing as giving it daily sunlight. Watering it is like allowing it enough time to compound and grow. That's how I would probably think about it. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully everything here makes sense. Hopefully that's a different perspective for you. Feel free to reach out if this video got you thinking. Hopefully it helps a few people. See you guys in the next one.